In the museum recently, we've been talking a lot about resilience because of COVID and the fact that we as a society have to deal with these difficult times. And when I think about resilience in the animal kingdom, I tend to think of lungfish fairly quickly because they are bizarre in many, many ways. They are fish, they live in the water, they're freshwater fish, but they don't look like your standard fish. They've got these really weird, almost like spaghetti-like fins, which they use to get around in the water. But they can also use them to get around on land, and that's because these guys are they live in environments which dry out on a fairly regular basis. And so if your river where you live is going to dry out, then you need to do something to be able to survive during that dry period. And what these guys do is they've developed a lung, or something very similar to a lung, which is a little offshoot of their gut, which has got a lot of blood vessels running through it. And that allows them to gulp air in, and they can breathe through that, and they can get all the oxygen they need that way. But also, when it dries out, they find themselves a nice little patch in a riverbed or in the banks of a river or in a floodplain, and they will dig into the mud and they will make themselves a little cocoon. So you can just see one all curled up there. You can see his wiggly little fin just here. And they curl up in a little ball, and this mucus around the body sticks to the mud around them, and that hardens off as it gets dry on the outside, and that means they end up with this kind of tiny little like sealed cocoon that stops them from drying out, which means that they're able to survive. Here's one out of the actual soil. They're able to survive for up to a year like this, waiting for the next set of rains to come through and give them the water they need to reproduce and to carry on living. So they're an amazing example of resilience. And I've heard rumours that the Egyptian lungfish, as it's one of its names, there are several names for it. The marbled lungfish is one that's most commonly used. But that particular species is found in East and Central Africa, and there are some people who think that they may have inspired the Egyptians to embalm and entomb their dead with the hope for coming back to life at the end of it, after seeing these apparently dead fish coming back to life when the rains come.